Welcome to the show, Dr. Smith. I'm so honored to have you. We have a lot of things I would say in common. We are both anesthesiologists, and we are both people who really believe in the power of community and creating safe spaces for women. I absolutely love that you do this for women of color. I think that's so incredible and brave because I'm sure you get a lot of backlash. And despite what everybody says, oh, that's great, there's always comments and stuff. So I just want to publicly say, like, you are amazing, and I'm honored to have you on the show as an expert today.
Oh, and thank you so much. And I'm so excited to be here. And I'm super inspired by your work. And I'm glad that we can just collaborate and just help each other and share our stories and get these messages out there.
So how did you go from being this busy doctor who's, showing up at work, doing all the things, which is a full-time plus job? Most physicians work long hours and very, very challenging. In the area that we work in can be very challenging, to saying, like, I feel like I need to create a community and serve women.
Well, basically, I burnt out to the point where I was going to leave medicine and go work at Trader Joe's. So I
Work at Lululemon, so we could have been friends.
yes, because I was like, where do I go that's always happy? Whenever I walk in Trader Joe's, they're just like, hi, how's it going? Oh, no, we're here. They're always happy. So, I mean, unfortunately, I had to get to that critical point of that, like, am I really going to leave medicine after all of these years to really evaluate? And that's when everything kind of just changed for me. Like recovering from burnout, it starts out as like an isolated process. You're like, what do I want? How do I rest better? How do I take better care of myself? But as you go through that journey, you realize like you're never really going to get to that next level alone. And when you're healing and recovering and then transitioning out of survival mode into thriving and living your best life, it's never a solo event. It's
No.
always going to be with community, with friends, with support. And so that's just kind of all where it started, just in my own personal journey, my own personal realizations, and then just sharing my own story with my friends and them telling me, oh my gosh, like I thought that same exact thought. And I was like, oh, I thought I was so alone in this
Yeah.
thought. I thought that this was
Yeah.
an isolated experience, that I was the only one suffering and everybody else was doing great.
Yeah. Can you share with us how burnout showed up for you? What did it look like in your life? Because I think it looks different for everybody. And I think, like, we know all the, like, the what excuse me, what the studies show, but how did it show up in your life? What did it look like for you?
Yeah, and so for this, I like to explain it as like a big pot of boiling water, right? It's not like you just suddenly are fine one day and you're burnt out. It's like you put this big pot of water on over low heat, and it takes time. So for me, my burnout, when I look back, it was simmering for a few years. And at first, it was just like the generalized unhappiness with this job, or like, oh, this is getting a little bit worse, but then that's just how it is. And so you can kind of explain it away. And especially in healthcare, because you get that so much. Like everybody around you is telling you, that's just how it is. That's just how we've always done it. And so you just keep pushing through, even though you're starting to burn out. You might start looking for another job because you're like, something is off here. I'm not feeling great. I'm not feeling right. But you may not be able to pinpoint exactly what feels wrong, but you know something is wrong. So you're like, maybe a new job, a new environment, a new system will help make it better. And then as I went to the next job, some things do improve, yes, but that it sticks with you, because if you're burnt out, no matter where you go, you're going to remain burnt out until you kind of recover from that and actively work on it. And so when I really got to the noticeable symptoms, like in myself, I was very irritable. And yes, I do get annoyed easily, but usually it will pass. But like I was irritated and it was sticking, and I was just like
Mm,
disgruntled and grumpy for longer periods of the day than normal. I was very tired, which I think a lot of us are. But even when I realized I was tired and tried to sleep more, I was still tired and it felt very deep. Like I was just like, ugh, like 12 hours of sleep and I still just was so heavy, I couldn't get
yeah.
out of bed.
Yeah.
And then like the real kicker was I was talking to a friend, and my conversations with friends decreased because even though my friends are lovely and bring me joy, it again still felt heavy, felt like a task. It felt like too much. And I was just telling her like, yeah, I just don't want to do anything. Like I don't want to get a manicure. I don't want to leave my house. Like everything just feels like too much. And that's when I realized like this was like deeper than just needing more sleep. Like if you need more sleep, or if you're just a little bit tired or fatigued, you will sleep and you'll wake up feeling energized. But I was actually sleeping, resting, pausing, taking breaks, and I was still just so heavy and drained. And so, like, at the point when I realized that the things that I used to love to do and used to be excited to do just felt like too heavy or like a burden or a task, I was like, okay, something is wrong, like with me, like something is wrong here. What can I do to fix that? Because I love doing this and I don't want to do it. And
Yeah.
so I it took a while to get to that point. And so I would like for women to like know that they don't have to get to that point before they make a change. But
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like so many women do wait. They wait until they're ready to quit because I think in so often in our jobs, it's like we think we have two choices. We stay, we work full time, we do all the things and we burn out, or we leave. Like those are the two options. And I'm always like, well, what about the options in between?
Yes.
Like there's a lot of options in between. It's like what I tell, the residents I work with all the time. There are drug dosages between 25 and 50 of propofol.
Mhm. Yeah, like
you
there's
can
one.
give, you can set the pump at different dosages. Like there are different options in you for staying in a job where you're burned out and leaving medicine. Like there's a lot, but we often, and I think you said something that I so identified with because this is when I burned out. I did the same thing. I felt myself withdrawing from everyone. And I actually started like saying no to everybody that would ask me to go to coffee or go to girls' night or go have a glass of wine or even go on a girls' trip because I thought, I am not fun. I am so tired and
Yeah.
I'm going to bring everybody down. So I, and I think that's such a dangerous place to be because what we actually need are other people, like safe people that we
Mhm.
can be real and vulnerable with and say, I'm struggling. But when we're in that cycle of burnout or when we're careening down that path to burnout, we don't want to engage with people and we
Nope.
don't even want to engage with our safe people. So can you talk a little bit about like you lead an amazing community for women, you have events and courses and all kinds of things for women. Um, what do you tell those women that come to you and they're like, I don't want to do any of that because I'm so burned out? What is the importance of that and what do you say to them?
Yes, and I say to them, I've been there, I understand. And I do love rest. Like I think that you need to rest. And I also educate around the different types of rest because social rest is part of that, right? Like it's not all about physical rest. I think that because we're so physically run down that we think that we need physical rest, but we also need emotional, spiritual, creative, and social support, which we withdraw and we isolate from. And then, like you said, I always coach around this. Like the cure for burnout is not self care. I know that your system tells you if you're feeling burnt out, then you need to practice better self care. Self care is a part of the cure, part of the recovery, but like literally, you are facing moral injury every single day, and self care can't combat that. So you have to have a bigger plan. And as you touched on so gracefully before, is connection and it's engagement. Like there is pretty much proof, there's research articles that the cure for burnout is engagement. And I always tell people that it's engagement with yourself, which is like tapping back in to what your desires, your joy, your community, and engagement with others, which is the bigger community, the connection, whether it be family, friends, residents. Like I miss that, and I was missing out on that during my the biggest portion of my burnout. And to tap back in with myself and find things that I like to do and getting the energy to do them, tap back in with my friendships and my community, but also tap back in with the parts of medicine that I enjoyed, which was
Mm,
getting medical school mentees and actually teaching and educating about the different aspects of medicine. Because, yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I always talk about this. I'm like, yeah, we can't all leave medicine. Okay. There's
no.
so much proof and evidence that women in medicine are making medicine better.
Yes.
Although it's not good for us or our well being, it's good for the system. And
Yes.
so we have to find a way where we can work in the system while protecting our well being. And I think that
Yes.
that's like my goal is to just like, I did want to leave, but then I said, how can I work in this system differently? And although you get a lot of resistance at first, you have to keep pushing, and eventually you
Mhm.
will find what you need to stay in medicine. Because all of us, I mean, what did we sacrifice? All of our youth, all of our vitality. We
I
spent
know.
all these years
All of
in
our
medicine
fun
and
years.
residency, all of our fun years being broke and tired. Like, we don't want to leave now and be broke and tired still. We want to be recharged and still helpful, because we came into this profession to do something, to serve people, to
Yeah.
help people. But it's sad that we get beat down to the point where we just can't even tolerate anymore. So
Yes. And then when you're really, really tired and when you're exhausted and when you're empty, you don't have the energy to fix it. Like,
mm-mm.
that's the thing. Like, that's why I always say, like, the first step is asking for help.
Yeah.
Reach out to Dr. Smith here, reach out to me, reach out, like putting out a hand and putting your hand up and going, I need help. That is the first step, whether it's a colleague, a program. But oftentimes we just keep going into ourselves, and then we quit. And then you're like, wait, what? That person's walking away? Well, because when you're so exhausted, you need help to
Mm-hmm.
give you those skills and those strategies, because you got to burn energy to heal, right? Healing burns ATP. And when you're burned out, you don't have extra ATP. So just reaching your hand up and saying, like, I need help. I can't fix this. That is the most important thing you can do.
Yes.
And you're worthy of it, right? Like, you're so, like, I get so many women that come to me and they're so burned out. They've been treated so poorly in their institution or whatever. They're in a toxic environment. They've been breathing those toxic fumes, which get to
Mm-hmm.
you. And they make you feel, and eventually you feel like you don't deserve help, that you should be stronger. So, I get a lot of women that say, I'm going to take your class, but I got to fix these things first. And I'm like, do you realize that's the whole purpose, is just show up?
No.
Or I want to come to your conference, but I don't have it all together. Or I want to come to the retreat, but I gotta get my life together first. I'm like, no, that's the reason you go. Like,
Yeah. That is the
you,
reason. You don't have to do that anymore.
yes, yes.
No,
So,
and I agree. And I had one more thing to say about that
yes,
is, I like, you do need to ask for help or say what the problem is, but you need to continue doing it, because I find, like, a few months ago,
mm,
like, oh, I said something at work and they told me that that's just not going to work. It's like, oh, I want an alternate schedule. We don't do that here. I was told that.
oh yeah,
Over 3 years. I'm like, I want an alternate schedule. I want to work part time. Like, oh, okay, we'll work on it. Months go by, nothing. I'm like, okay, I'm revisiting this. Like, I'm serious about this.
yeah,
I want a part-time schedule. Well, we don't think it's going to work out. I'm like, okay. So then I start putting my feelers out. I start telling everybody I know. I'm like, I want to work part-time. I want to work part-time. And I can't even tell you the number of times I told you that doesn't really exist in anesthesia. You have
yeah,
to either be like a locums or you have to be full-time.
yeah,
And I'm like, well, I don't really want to travel, but if I have to, I will. Like,
yeah.
this is what I've decided now. Like, I'm going to work part-time. Um, and lo and behold, like, after a million no's, I got my yes. And so my current job, I am working part time as an anesthesiologist locally. And it's been so freeing. But, like, asking for what you want or asking for the help or asking for what you need, you're going to hear a lot of, like, no's. So don't automatically shut it down, which is why you need to reach out to us, who are trying to promote you and let you know that although it may not be done yet, doesn't mean it can't be done in the future. Because inside the healthcare, they will always tell you it's never been done that way, and they'll try to
Oh,
shut you down.
absolutely.
They will try to shut you down.
Yes, and the reason they're putting you down is because it takes their energy on their part.
Hmm.
They even think that's a good idea, but they just don't wanna have to do it because they don't have the energy. So, part of that is also, like, doing some of the work for them as much as it sucks. Like, I
Yes.
had to do the exact same thing in my department over and over and over. "No, we don't have that. We never had a part-time policy." We
I
literally didn't have a part-time policy. We had
Here's
80
one.
positions, and yeah, and now we do. But, it took, like, years to fix because we had to come up with the thing and all that. But, I love Maya Angelou's quote about, I come as one, but I stand as for 1,000. And whenever
Mhm.
you're going to be the first one, you're really doing it for all the people coming behind you. Should you have to do it? No. But it's something that we have to advocate for ourselves, because the system isn't going to do it.
Mm-mm.
And if we just keep showing up and we still are willing to either have two options, quit or be full time, or locums and full time, then the system's not going to change. Like, you got to keep rattling cages, and you have to be courageous enough to be uncomfortable, because it's uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable for you to go and say, I want a part-time policy, right? It was uncomfortable for me. Like, I wasn't the favorite. Nobody wanted to see me coming. They were like, shut the door. She's coming again. Here she is. She's going to ask for the same thing. Like, you have to get uncomfortable and you have to be willing to argue for what it is that you need to stay well. So
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about you to talk a little bit about when you have burned out. And I love that you said you have to continue to ask for help. I think that's the beauty of community. What have you seen be so transformative in the communities you build for women that really allows women to stay thriving and not in survival mode?
Yes. And so, I mean, the communities are so transformative, but I do think that, to your point about isolation, I think that as we're going through this day to day and kind of on autopilot and pushing through on our journey to burning out, probably, it feels like you're the only one going through this, because at times, especially with social media, you look around like, oh, well, she's doing fine. Like, you can look at my social media and like, oh, she's fine. She's going on trips. She's whatever, going to brunch. But like, secretly, I'm struggling. And so like I try to be more vocal about that now, because I don't want to give this false persona, but you are living your life still. Like, your
Yeah.
life is continuing, although you feel some way on the inside. And I feel that's the probably one of the most isolating things. So when you kind of start sharing your story and getting those me too, I felt that before, it is so validating. And
Yeah.
as high achieving women in medicine, like, we don't necessarily need permission to do whatever we need to do. But when you get validation of your experience, it just feels like a burden is like lifted. You're like, oh, like, I'm not crazy. I'm
Yes.
not alone. Like,
Yes.
we're all going through this and we're all just putting on this brave face. Okay, good. Like, at least you know that part, because
Yes.
you can start to feel a little bit crazy
Yes.
in this process of burning out, because you're just like, you don't feel like yourself. You don't know what's going on. And people just keep telling you this is just how life is. It's tough.
It is tough. It's really tough. And it's someone seeing you and like
Mhm.
hearing you. And I can do this to myself all the time, like almost like gaslight myself. Like,
Mhm.
I'm crazy. I just imagine that. Like, and
Yes.
then you're like, no, this is real. And when you open up and you're vulnerable and you share it and you don't live life like your Instagram reel, but you actually get real and vulnerable with others, then you are validated in how you're feeling. And then you are actually have confidence to fix it and
Yes.
permission to fix it and change things. But when you feel like you're stuck and everyone's telling you just this is the way it is, like this is your choice, you made this choice, you became a doctor or whatever, get over it. Like there's no actionable steps there. It's like go back, be quiet, suck it up, and just put your head down and do the work. And you are absolutely right in the fact that when you said, like, you have to be willing to ask over and over and over. I wish that women only had to ask one time for things, but it's just not our reality that we live in. It's not the systems.
Not at
And
all.
especially as a woman of color, I think there's even probably more of that. Like, you have to even be more courageous and you have to ask probably even more times,
Yeah.
So can you
In the
talk a
proper
little,
tone.
yeah, in the proper tone and with a smile on your face so you don't come across as angry? Yes, yes. Yeah. So, why do you think innately that we withdraw? Like, why do we do that when we aren't well?
Um, it's definitely a self-preservation. Like, that's your survival tactic, right? Like, I need to self-protect, and the safest is me, because when you're being vulnerable and when you're being open, it's not safe. So initially it's like, okay, the only way to protect is to just be with myself, because I don't know who to trust. I don't know what they'll say. We fear the judgment from others, especially physicians, right? Like, you're a doctor, you should be happy. You're making good money. You have job security. Whatever you're going to hear, you don't really want to hear that, which is why you need that safe community of women who understand and be like, yes, we are a doctor, but sometimes it still sucks. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
hear you. But although it is the natural instinct, and although sometimes you do need some time to be alone and self reflect, you cannot get cocooned there, right? Like, you have
Mm,
to still set limits. And like, if you're feeling like you need an isolating moment, then set a time limit. Like, okay, I'll give myself one weekend to just be alone and not respond. But after the weekend, I'm going to pick the one person who I know is always supportive and always encouraging, and just try to just tell them like, hey, I just don't feel that great, or I just wasn't feeling good, or I just had like a low moment, but I'm coming out of it. And then that's just how you slowly make those steps out. Because like I said before, like, you can start by like self-protecting and just resting and reflecting, but you're not going to get to that next level alone. And you do need that support. You do need that vulnerability, that understanding, to be seen, heard, supported, hugged, like whatever you need, we need it. But there's
Yes.
this narrative also going around that, the strong woman, we're so independent and resilient
Mm,
and dependable. And that part also plays like, well, I should be able to handle this. I should be able to fix this myself. I got myself into this situation. I should be able to get myself out. But in all honesty, yes, we did get ourselves into this situation, but I like to say we actually didn't have full informed consent when we became doctors. Like, nobody told us the real. If you had like informed consent, like, this is what you're really going to go through,
nobody would do it.
nobody would do it. So we never had informed consent. We just kind of had like this vague idea and positive reassurance, like, yeah, being a doctor is great. You should do it. So I'm like, you did get into it yourself, but you weren't fully knowing what you were getting yourself into.
Yeah.
Now that you
Yeah.
know, you can't get out of it by yourself.
Yeah.
Like, that's like quicksand, man. It's quicksand. You
Yes.
can walk right into it, but you can't get out.
Yes. Okay. What do you say to women who say, I don't trust other women. I've been hurt. I had this mean girl. This happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not interested. Um, because I get that all the time. Like, I'll say, come to the retreat or come to this conference, or you can share this is this. And the resistance is always there's always a story. And all of us have stories. I'm convinced. Like, I don't think any of us have a story, right? We all have a story. But what's your response? I'm curious what you say.
And so we get this story, right? Yes, I'm not a girl's girl. Women are catty and whatever.
I get along with men. I love getting along with men. Yeah.
I mean, I just always like to compare. I'm just like such an analogy person. I'm like, okay, so have all of your male relationships been positive? Like, did you just marry and be happily married to the first boyfriend you ever had? Like, no. Like, maybe, okay. If someone says yes, I'm like, okay, then maybe we have a whole different discussion here. I've never had a yes where you have just now married your first sweetheart from junior high and have been
Yeah.
happily married for years. All relationships have conflict. And so when you start to kind of know yourself better, you have better discernment in what you need from your friends. And so maybe in that time when you had poor friendships, you had poor or low self-worth, or something else was off with you. But as you become more powerful and more grounded in yourself, you will pick your friends better. But like, you didn't like stop dating because you had one boyfriend cheat on you. You keep dating. So you had
Yes.
some women be mean to you. You keep dating. Like, it's a whole same situation.
Yes. I love that. And it's very true, because I think, I've had people reach out to me and say, like, I was really mean to you
Mhm.
about this thing. And the reason I was mean to you is because you were mean to me. And I was like, I didn't even know I was mean to you. I'm
Mhm.
so glad you told me.
Yeah,
I thought you just
absolutely.
didn't like me. And they're like, well, we thought you didn't. And I think it is complex. And I also think you have to understand that not everybody is for you or going to be your friend. Like, that's an unrealistic expectations. I think we grew up in a time where we had, BFF necklaces, half the heart, like you should be my friend for eternity, and that's just not reality. Like, you're going to have friends come and go in your life, and you're going to have friends that maybe you don't feel as close with, and nothing bad happened. You're just not
Mhm.
as close with, right? And certainly also the way we show up in different stages of our life or different periods of our life is different. Like, we
Yes.
grow, we evolve. So I cannot imagine my life without community. Like, I did not heal out of burnout alone. I healed when I got connected to community. And everybody likes a hero, a shiro, but they don't really exist in the real world. Like, it's communities. It's, I was down and this person picked me up, and this person helped me, and this person taught me this, and this person helped me this way, or this person I was able to share and feel supported. So I love your messaging and I love what you do for women. And I would love for the audience to know, like, where can they find you? Where can they find more about you and the work that you do? Tell us.
Yes, well, I'm everywhere because you have to be, right? But I'm truly a geriatric millennial. I love my email. So if you email, I love email. I was like, just email me. If you email me at hello@sheisfireforge.com, I read all my emails. Let me know you found me on the podcast. I love to share stories or talk more deeply. I'm on TikTok and Instagram at She is Fireforged, Nikia Smith, MD. And I have my website, www.sheisfireforge.com. If you do a /free, you'll get my free resources, which is an exhaustion quiz, which I love. It just lists 5 common things that might be exhausting you and what type of rest you should prioritize. If you're anything like
Ooh.
me, you're probably bits of all of them, so you'll get all of them in the results. But it does kind of just help pinpoint like where you should focus your energy, because there is sometimes like a more or not more, but like a better way to start, right? Like people
Yeah.
always want to start with physical rest, but sometimes you just need creative rest or social
Yes.
rest or like,
Yes.
so it is sometimes better to start in a different space than what you're hearing from everybody else. And I also have a burnout checklist, which will help you go through some of the 5 sneaky signs that caught me off guard. And you can kind of check through and see how you're feeling on that scale. And if you feel like you have a lot of check marks, or if you have more than a few per box, you can go ahead and reach out to me or you, whoever can help support you in your burnout recovery.
I love that. I love all this. And I love that you were talking about the different types of rest, because I just led a retreat last weekend in Hilton Head. And the ocean is supposed to help with creative rest. And
Yes.
I made everybody take the afternoon by themselves. And there were women painting on the beach with watercolors. Were women writing on the beach. And
Mm.
even a woman wrote half a grant. She's like, nobody make fun of me. This was my creative rest. And we were like, no, tell us. And she wrote half a grant staring at the ocean. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this. So like, we do need that different types of rest. There's so many awesome free resources on your website for these women. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for creating safe spaces for women, and just keeping women in medicine, because that's so important. Women are amazing doctors. And thank you for taking something so hard and turning it into something amazing for other people.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all that you do too. I love that we're in this space. I feel like anesthesiologists are a great provider to lead this type of charge.
Yes.
Okay, we're in charge now.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, well, all of her information will be in the show notes. Follow her, go to her website, sign up for her stuff, download the free website or the free resources, and get to know her and reach out, especially if you are a woman of color and you are needing a safe space. She is that for you. So thanks again for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.